Okay, we'll see if we can get through this without without falling apart. But we're here with my very good friend Scott Siman, and a lot of you may know or may not know that he was worked with Tim McGraw for 10 years, actually 13 years as his manager. Before that, he had a very successful law practice for about another 15 years, I believe. So he combines the power of a great attorney with being a manager, and he's also a great song man himself. So Scott's very creative, and I wanted to ask him some questions about a manager, some basic stuff and some information, because through the years I've actually already had a hard time myself knowing what makes a great manager. Because if the artist has a hit song, does that mean the manager's great? You know, or does the manager supposed to bring something else to the party, as they would say? Okay, so I got some questions here, and I'm going to ask the first one to you, Scott. What is an artist manager?
Well, I like to think, I'll use a sports analogy. Like if your artist is the star quarterback, the manager is the head coach, and he's got to be aware of everything that star quarterback is capable of doing. So you are the person that is overall responsible for every aspect of that artist's career, and you're going to be as involved in every aspect of that artist's career as they will let you be involved. So you're going to be involved musically, you're going to be involved business sense, money sense, personnel, everything that has to do with the artist you need to be a part of.
Okay.
So you're really a career advisor.
Uh-huh. Okay. The second question is, as an artist, when do you need a manager? Like as soon as you hit town, or when you're trying to get a deal, or when should that happen?
It's a really hard question to answer. I don't think there's any one way to go about doing that. I think look at each case. But if I were a new artist and I'm looking for a manager, I'm going to look for a manager to help me get a record deal, to help me get a publishing deal. I'm going to go to a manager when I think I can't go any farther on my own. I can't network with other musicians or PROs or other folks. I'm kind of hit a wall here. I need somebody that has a little more experience, background, work ethic, whatever it may be, to get me to the next spot. And like I said, usually that's a publishing or writing deal, or if you've already cut stuff and you're trying to get a record deal, that's a really good time to bring a manager involved. Some people wait until they actually have a record deal, and then they go looking for a manager at that point in time. But I'd say generally you're looking at a manager sooner in your career.
Okay. And now, when you were talking, that brought up another question I was thinking about, and that is, you're talking about that artist being very proactive in their own career before they reach out to you, rather than saying, I don't know what to do, I'm reaching out to you.
Yes, because think of it this way. I've got to manage an artist, but that artist has to have a vision of who they are and what they are. I can help them, I can refine them, I can give them good advice, but they have to have it's their vision. It's not my vision. And so I want an artist that knows who they are, knows where they want to go, and wants help getting there. And I think in this day and age, the artist has to do a lot on their own. A lot. They've got to be prepared to write, to network, to demo, to be seen, to be heard, to go. There's a lot of work that goes into being an artist. A lot. If they don't have that, when they come to see a manager, if they don't have it, then there's no reason to work together yet. They're not prepared to have a manager yet.
You've got to be a self-motivator.
I think you have to be a self-motivator. I think you have to be a hard worker. I think it's gotten a lot harder, a lot more competitive in our industry. If you're not willing to go there every day and work at it. I mean, we have a new act right now. They've cut 5 sides. The recording was the fun part. That's their reward. It's great. They had a big time. And now they got to rehearse. They got to get ready to go into conference rooms. They got to get their wardrobe together. They got to get their shtick together.
They got to work out.
They got to work out twice a day. Actually, twice a day. It's like
really, really,
yeah, twice a day.
Wow, to get ready.
To get ready.
Woo.
And look, if they don't do it, somebody else will. I always tell new artists, if you're not willing to jump off the speaker, there's probably somebody else behind you that will jump off the speaker. So if you don't have that mentality, or if you think, man, I just need somebody to do something for me, it's like, that's a wrong attitude. It's not going to work. Yes, a manager has to bring something to the table and help embellish what you have, or help take what you have and get it through a door. But you have to have that thing that gets it through the door. I don't create that. I don't write the songs. I don't sing them. I don't present them. I can help you and give you feedback on what I think works and doesn't work. but I can't create it for you.
Okay, very good, very good. We covered, some of this got covered in this, in what we're talking about here, but the next question was, what should an artist look for in a manager? Oh, okay, that's what we're talking about. Now, do you go for the top manager in the whole industry, or do you go for a beginner who, and you're going to grow together?
I think you try to get the most experienced manager you can. You need somebody that has knowledge and expertise in this business. Mm-hmm. So I would always default to the most experienced person I can. And they may not necessarily be a manager. They may be somebody that's in another aspect of the business, but they've been in the business a long time, they understand it, they get what it's about. So I think experience is number one. There's just no substitute for experience. If you can't get an experienced manager interested in you, I don't think it's bad to work with an inexperienced manager. Mm-hmm. Just understand it's a growing thing, and you're going to have to grow together. You're going to make a lot of mistakes, which is okay. You can learn from it. Just don't get into a long-term contract with an inexperienced manager and find yourself going, okay, now I need to go to another level and I'm stuck. Protect yourself on that side, maybe a way to bring in a co-manager, or always have the option to leave, but they still maybe have a participation. Don't lock yourself into a long-term deal with an inexperienced manager. You need to be a little more creative in the deal. And I think an inexperienced manager that's properly motivated will agree with that. Because ultimately, as a manager, I'm only going to get paid based on what I bring to the table. And you're going to work with me as long as you think I'm bringing value to the table and we like each other. And when I don't, it's probably time to move on.
Okay, very good. What makes a good manager?
I think two things. One is helping focus the artist, keeping them on track with what's really important to them. I think in this day and age of, here we are on the internet, they're learning something about being a manager. They can read books, they can go online. There's a lot of information out there. There's college programs. I'm here to tell you that, all that aside, you just got to throw that out the window, because what makes a good manager is somebody that understands what you're about and focuses you and hones that down with you and gets it through a door. That's what a good manager is. And the results will speak for themselves. You talked about getting a hit single. Well, I don't make a hit single. I can help maybe make a hit single bigger. I can maybe make it a little better. My job as a manager is, once you get a hit single,
a little better by bringing other people that might help get to that place, or.
Well, I'll use an example. Like Tim McGraw had a song called "It's Your Love," and it was a 5-week #1 single. Mm-hmm. And there hadn't been a record spend 6 weeks at #1 in probably 15 or 20 years. And so our goal was, how do we get that 6th week? And so what we did is we went in and did an acoustic version of that song. We were filming a radio special, and I said at the very end, I said, okay, look, I want you to just do this acoustic version, because we want to take that and send it to radio the 5th week of this #1.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Because we think that when they get that, it'll add a new life to it.
Yeah.
And we did, and we did all the things to get it set up and be tracked and monitored correctly, and we got our 6th week at #1. So that was good manager helping a great record.
So you understand the vision of the artist, in that case it was Tim, where he's trying to get to, but when you get down to it, one man can't think of every aspect and everything to do. So you work as a team then.
You do, and you work with your booking agent, and you work with the record label.
But the artist is still the leader.
The artist is still the leader.
Uh-huh.
The artist is still the leader, and we use the phrase a lot. When you're exchanging ideas, it's like, I'm running on your gasoline. That's great. It's like, so when you go back and forth, you may have a great idea. I try to one-up you. You try to one-up me. And somebody on left field comes with something else, we go, well, that's even the best.
Like co-writing. If you're a songwriter and you co-write, that's...
Hey, if I beat your line, I beat your line.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, I love that. Great. Let's see. Our last one was... okay, what advice would you give a new artist looking for a manager?
#1, take your time.
Okay.
Talk to a lot of people, as many as you can. Network with your friends, see what their experiences are. If you know other acts and they're working with a new manager, what's it like? How good is that? Mm-hmm. Do you like the relationship? Is it working for you? When you do talk to a manager, make sure they have the time energy to focus on you. If it's a small manager, and if they have too many acts, they just can't give you time and attention. If they're a big management company, is there somebody within that company that can focus on you, that can give you some of the time? So I would definitely look at that. And also, again, get your presentation as good as it can be before you go talk to a manager. Because they're going to look at you and think, okay, is this something that I think can be huge? And if they don't get that vibe right away, then they're going to go, I'm not sure, come back. And so there's a, you know, that means writing a lot of songs, demoing, doing all those kind of things to create a great piece of music. Does it have to be completely defined? I get that it's, you know, it's not looking for the broom, the Wicked Witch story. Bring me back the broom and you'll get a record deal.
Right.
Does that? Not everything has to be done, but there has to be a clearly defined musical vision, and you need to be able to communicate that. Because if you can't communicate it to your manager, how are you going to communicate it to a record label, to a producer, to a booking agent, and most of all to your fans? Because they're going to ask you, what's important to you? What are you about? What are you? Why you? And I think a lot of artists go, wow, I didn't even know I was going to get that question, let alone what the answer was going to be.
Right.
And the ones that have I heard a story the other day about two new artists went in to visit one of the video channels, and they said this music of artist A was better than the music of artist B. But artist B was better at explaining their vision and what they were about than artist A. And they said, we're going to work with artist B.
Wow.
So sometimes the other things trump the music.
Right, right.
I'm not saying it's right or wrong, I'm just saying that's the reality of the business.
Right.
And when you have them both, it's when it really works.
Well, Scott, thanks. I really
Great.
appreciate it, man.
We'll do it again.
It was great.
Pardon?
And I want to leave with one thing that I didn't say, and this is important. During the time that Scott was working with Tim McGraw over the decade, Tim McGraw ended up being the most performed, successful artist of all genres of the entire decade. And so, obviously, when the marriage is right between an artist and manager, there's no limit to how high it can go. So,
Yep.
anyways,
Absolutely.
Congratulations on that.
Absolutely. Well, you know, again, it was a team effort. It took everybody working, and certainly Tim being the leader.
Yeah. All right. Thanks.
All right.
Okay.